Superman Up in the Sky issue 2, which is the Tom King, Andy Kubert, the Walmart special. This is parts 3 and 4 of that in this book. And in this case, the two parts are a lot more separate. It really feels like after, because I think parts 1 and 2 was just a natural continuation of part 1, where he hadn't left Earth yet. Whereas these parts are just two different kind of chapters of his adventure in space, trying to get to the missing girl that he's looking for. So the first issue is actually a boxing issue, as weird as that sounds. But if you like the idea of Superman in his boxing trunks, which of course are red and blue with the S shield on the waist.
I feel like there's a cover of Superman with Ali in those.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And he's fighting Maito, who's the mightiest mercenary, the scourge of the galaxies. And it's this boxing match. And the idea is that Maito has some information about, who's behind where the girl, who brought the girl, through this part of space or whatever. And the entire issue is this boxing match, and it's split into rounds, and it's, the conversation between them as they're punching each other, and it really feels like the final fight in like a Rocky movie, where the referee's like, okay, you're allowed your super strength and you're allowed your invulnerability, but no other powers, right? Because obviously this Maito's, also super strong and what, he's a big green alien dude. And Superman gets beat up. He looks very angry at parts, and it's all about his determination to not give up because he has to save this girl. And there's great moments where the alien's like saying, "Stay down, just stay down, because you're going to lose it anyway. You might as well stay down and save some time." And no matter what, Superman always gets back up. And it's a really simple story, but it's one of these things where, by the time it got to the end and Superman's just refusing to give up, it's hard not to get a little bit emotional. I feel like this two-parter is a darker Superman story, but it's a darker Superman story that works in the confines of who Superman is without betraying. It's all about him fighting through the darkness because of his principles. So it works quite well. And I think by the end, you're kind of like almost getting a little bit teary-eyed, and you're kind of rooting for him and saying, no, do not give up because this is Superman. It's just taking the concept of Superman not giving up and putting it in a boxing match, essentially. To the point where you've even got these little alien dudes in his corner who are like, who is Maitio anyway? He's nobody. Who are you? You're Superman. Now go fight him. And, things like that. And it goes through the rounds, and there's some great pages of like him looking like he's knocked out, but he gets back on his feet at the last second. And this doesn't matter. He keeps going, and by the end of it, he's got a bulged eye. They're both covered in blood. The art's great, and ultimately he wins. And it's actually the other guy. It's Maitio, when he realizes Superman's not going to go down, he just lies down and takes the 10 count because he says, "I may as well just save the time." Because Superman's not giving up. He eventually believes that. So yeah, that was part 3. I thought that was pretty solid. And then part 4, again, is a really sad, kind of dark tale of Superman. We don't see what's happened to him yet. He's floating in space on his deathbed, and these aliens take him. At first I thought it was actually Green Martians, but it's not, because the first time I see one, it looked kind of Manhunter-esque. But it's this healer who's got healing powers, and he's trying to heal Superman, and it's not working. But as he's connected to Superman healing him, he gets like bits and pieces of who Superman is. Like he sort of like telepathically links with him as he's doing it, and he has like visions of saving Lois. He hears Lois like shouting help as she's falling through the sky, and he's remembering Superman saving various people. And we meet this alien's wife and kids, and the idea that they don't want him to like lose himself, and he stopped healing Superman at this point. He had to give up because it was taking too much out of him and it was going to kill him. And he starts having more dreams and remembering more things that Superman's done, saving the entire galaxy, fighting Mongol, stopping nuclear bombs, and all sorts. And it becomes this conversation where he's basically saying to his loved ones, "I have to save him even if it kills me, because everyone needs Superman. He has to exist. He will be needed again." So it's this really, really sad story of this alien giving his life so Superman can live, because Superman is needed. And it's exactly the sort of thing that is very kind of an extreme, and it does feel like a dark story, but again, it's about the idea of Superman being this inspiration. And you know, the issue ends like he's given his life to save him, and Superman goes to see his family, and he says that as he was healing me and before he died, he shared thoughts with me, and there was a message for the children. Yeah, all can be lost, but none are alone. And he hugs them and says he's sorry. And that's where the story ends. And it is a really dour Superman story, but again, it doesn't feel like it's not in the same way where like Zack Snyder's movies feel like they betray what Superman is. It feels like no, it's a really dark chapter in Superman, but Superman is still Superman. And it's kind of about that struggle. So, no, I mean, I'm not surprised King's Superman story is one of the more depressing Superman stories I've read, but it's depressing in a way that's also really uplifting. It's like, even through these hard choices, like that hope of Superman still kind of shines through a little bit. So I actually really like both these parts, so I'm into it. But Kubert's art's obviously very good, especially in the boxing match. The boxing match stuff was great. But yeah. So, at this point, I do think Matt should probably read the trade at least when it
Oh, I'll wait.
when it hits. Because I mean, I'm a third through the story now. Should be good. So that's Up in the Sky issue 2. I'm probably gonna give it a solid 8.5. Like I actually, like, you know, I got emotional at the end of both stories, which is actually kind of impressive.